academic resume is? So, an academic resume is basically a list of your accomplishments in high school. And the difference between an academic resume and, say, a professional resume or one that you would complete for work is that an academic resume highlights your accomplishments that you made in your academics. And this may or may not be applicable to finding a job. Academic resumes are generally made for um, admissions purposes for schools, requesting letters of recommendations from teachers, and for scholarships. But you can use all or parts of an academic resume to complete a professional resume. And you can use parts of your professional resume, like, anything work related, and put that on your academic resume so that it shows that you're a well rounded student. So, an academic resume is composed of different elements or different parts. You organize each of you organize the information about yourself and your accomplishments, you group them together by likeness. Every resume, regardless of whether it's professional or academic, will have an objective. An objective is basically a statement of what you are wanting to accomplish, why you've listed these accomplishments, and what your long term or short term goals are. A long term goal might be attend a 4-year university, um, obtain a bachelor's degree in biology, and be admitted into be admitted into a medical school. Maybe that's a long-term goal for you, but a short-term goal might be to obtain an internship or obtain a scholarship. Okay, so that would be the difference between a long-term or short-term goal. It's important to state these in your objective because when you're everyone who's reading these needs to consider if you're right for a position, or if your long-term goals align with their long-term goals, or let's say you're giving this to a teacher and you want them to write a really nice recommendation letter for you. Well, whatever they write about, they might keep, your long-term goal in the back of their head and say, okay, well, if they're trying to get a position in biology and pre-med, become a medical student, here are some skills that I would highlight because those would be useful skills as a pre-med student. Okay, so you can also you must also include information about yourself, your address, email, phone number, and maybe a picture if that's what you'd like to do. It's not a requirement. Some people include pictures because they like to include pictures, and some don't. So it's completely 100% up to you. You must include your information about your education, include your tentative graduation date, your city and state of where you went to high school, and your relative rank and or GPA. Sometimes the way that you list your rank or your GPA, one might sound more impressive than the other. For example, let's say that you are ranked number one in your class, but there's only 5 people in your graduating class. Well, ranking number one out of 5 doesn't sound as impressive as saying, valedictorian of my class. That might sound more impressive. Maybe you only have a GPA of a 2.7, but you're still ranked in the top 10% of your class. Well, then saying that you're ranked in the top 10% might sound more impressive than saying, you have a 2.7 GPA. Some, though, scholarships do require that you do tell them what your GPA is. So in that case, you would have to include it. Okay. You're going to want to include any mixture of these categories: major achievements, extracurricular activities, awards and honors, any sports that you participated in, volunteer work, leadership opportunities, hobbies, and any certifications that you might have. Um, if any of these categories don't apply to you, do not include them in your um, don't include them in your academic resume. And what I mean by that is if you didn't play a sport, don't have a section that says sports and put nothing. You want to highlight your accomplishments and not point out any glaring obvious gaps in what you did. And some people are more well-rounded students than others, whereas some went towards just sports and some are geared towards, you worked all the time, and some are, very heavily involved in academics. None of that is wrong. It all depends on what your objective is and how to take your experience and word it in a way that makes it sound like you did have a focus in school. You want everything to sound like you had a focus, or you can say that you're a well-rounded student and you want to demonstrate that as well. Okay. And I think one of the things that I did not pin on there is relative work experience. Some people do work while they're in high school. I worked when I was in high school, and there's a lot of great things that you could highlight if you did have a job and show that it's relative towards whatever your objective is. Another thing to consider is you might include a section that has any additional skills. There's something called soft skills and there's something called hard skills. A soft skill would be problem solving, being dependable, maybe written and verbal communication. Whereas a hard skill would be something that you could really measure, like phone etiquette, words per minute, typing speed, maybe that you're proficient in Microsoft Office. I would say written, now that I'm looking at this, that written and verbal. Written communication can be maybe a hard skill, and verbal communication is more of a soft skill. But either way, you know, y- if you are proficient in these, if you feel like these are your strengths, you should put them down. But obviously, be honest with yourself and be honest on your resume because you don't want anything to come back and bite you if you were dishonest. And then the next thing that I'm going to talk about is that you should be specific with your action verbs that you list when you expand on some of these items. I'm going to go ahead and show you an example. So here's a basic academic resume. Right here is their objective. It says motivated student who demonstrates strong work ethic and creative ability, seeking to apply my graphic design skills and artistic drive as a summer intern in your company, will leverage proven experience as a competent designer to contribute to company goals and needs. So this is a good objective, and it's stating a short-term goal that they're trying to get. They're seeking a summer intern position, and it's also geared towards graphic design and artistic talent. So everything that they list on their resume is going to be relative to graphic design and artistic talent. So this one gives the GPA. It's going to list some relevant coursework, which, I encourage you to do that as well. Intro to graphic design, AP art, yearbook, computer applications. Okay, those are all relative to graphic design. It's going to list their major achievements, yearbook club, and Santa Monica newspaper. The important thing to know here is when you're going to list these achievements, when you're going to list the different things that you were involved in, you need to expand on those ideas and fill up that white space with your accomplishments. The best way to do that is to list what you did. Um, Here, they start each bullet with a strong action verb. Created a yearbook logo designed to incorporate school mascots. Arranged all photos and pages. Trained and supervised sophomore students. Great verbs. Here's another one. Procured advertising for school paper. Edited and curated photos for the school paper. Custom designed page layouts to fit articles, contributed to school's online publication. So again, that's a great example of using those strong action verbs to expand areas of your accomplishments. And then they list some additional skills. And then at the bottom, they list some awards, honors, and honorary mentions. Let's look at another one. This is a more modern take on a resume. So at the top, you would put your name, and it lists their contact information. It's got the little, you know, um, icons. It lists their education, their relevant coursework, just like before. I do like how they organize their key skills over here. And this template allowed them to gray out to show their confident level in those skills. And here they listed volunteer experience and extracurricular activities. And you can see that they also expanded those um, sections by listing what exactly they did with that organization. Okay, here is another example of a pretty good looking resume. So I do like the picture that they chose because it's professional and appropriate. The layout of the template is good, and it's nice, and it organizes the information. The only thing I don't like about this template is that it bullets these technical skills, hobbies, and languages with numbers, which to me would indicate that their best technical skill would be hardware troubleshooting and their least confident skill would be like Adobe Creative Suite. So I would say try to avoid numbering anything because you don't want to give the impression that this is your best and this is your least. Okay. They also list their elementary school. Obviously, that's unnecessary. I wouldn't do that. So they list their personal skills and then their achievements. Okay. So I'm going to show you where you can find more templates. Um, you would go to File. Here, I'll start from here. See, there are lots of templates for you to use in Microsoft Office. And to access them, you just go to File, then you click New. You're going to search for Resume, and here are all the templates that are available. And please scroll through and find one that you like, that is relative to you, that you think might support your or might reflect your personality. You can pick anything that you think is appropriate for yourself, anything that you think is going to highlight you, anything that speaks to you. It's up to you what template you want to use. Some of them include places for pictures, some of them do not. Some of them are more busy than others, and some of them are more streamlined and modern. So again, pick something that you think fits your needs, whatever it is. And these templates are really great at guiding you through where you can put what where. And just because, some of these, like they might give a section name that you might not fill up, then you can just edit that section name and change it to something that you could fill up. Um, and then some of these, if you look, are very specific to um, careers. Like this one says office manager resume, and this one says hospitality management resume. So that's pretty much it. Um, to get a jump start on your academic resume, I would take a piece of paper and kind of jot down everything that you've done over the years and see how you want to really arrange your accomplishments in an order that makes sense for you. Some people like to do chronological and some like to group it according to, these are my academic accomplishments, this is my leadership accomplishments. So what remember that it's up to you how you want to group it. You just want to really sell yourself and make you look like the best person that for the job for what you're trying to accomplish. Okay.